Okay, up until now, welcome back to our last video. Up until now, we've been presenting our balance sheet. Assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. And we really have not been very particular about how we classify our list assets. It turns out that when we prepare our financial statements, we do need to present assets in a certain order. We do need to present liabilities in a certain order. And we present them in the order of liquidity. What I mean by that is, the faster or sooner an asset can be turned into cash, the sooner or earlier on it appears in the listing of assets or liabilities. So for instance, when you look at a balance sheet, and it's a classified balance sheet, you're going to see assets, you're going to see a distinction between current and then long term. Then down here you'll say total assets. Current assets are assets that are turned or likely to be turned into cash within 1 year of the operating cycle of a company. Long-term are exactly that, long-term assets. And there are distinctions in here. Under current assets, the listing of assets is, the first thing you'll see is cash. Then you'll see something called marketable securities. Then you'll see receivables. Accounts receivable. Then you'll see inventory. Then you'll see prepaids. Now, here's how I learned this. CMRIP, CMRIP, cash, marketable securities, receivables, inventory, prepaid. So there's a method to the madness. Generally accepted accounting principles. We want to present the balance sheet. There's a method to how we present it. We can't take cash and move it down here. Since we're showing it in order of liquidity, and liquidity deals with the ability to convert it into cash, that's why we list cash first. Marketable securities are short-term investments that we have in, let's say, in the stock market that we can immediately turn into cash. Receivables, accounts receivable, inventory, and then prepaid. Those are your current assets. Long-term assets are IPIO. It's investments, long-term investments. P stands for property, plant, and equipment. I stands for intangibles. And O stands for other. Intangible asset would be something like a trademark or a patent or a copyright, and there's a value associated with that. There's value associated with the name Nike, and that value associated with that name and that trademark would show up as an intangible asset. So the long-term assets are investments, property, plant, and equipment, intangibles, and other, to come up with a total assets. Now, the asset part of our balance sheet is the most difficult. Liabilities, we will show current and long-term as well, and long-term. But typically our current is things like accounts payable and short-term notes payable. That's basically it. Unearned income, that might have the current portion of unearned income. Long-term, we'll have long-term debt, bonds. Long-term liabilities, notes payable that are long-term, paying back over a period of time that is longer than 1 year. So the liability part of our balance sheet is much less confusing than the asset part. But you can remember this. I remembered this. I learned it. CMRIP, IPIO. And that might sound like nonsense, but it has stuck with me forever. CMRIP, cash, marketable securities, receivables, inventory, prepaid. IPIO, investments, property, plant, and equipment, intangibles, other. Let me just blow that up. CMRIP, cash, marketable securities, receivables, inventory, prepaid. That's our current assets, and our long-term assets are IPIO, IPIO. And maybe this only works for me, but I got these mnemonics stuck in my head. Investments, property, plant, equipment, intangibles, other. That's the order. That's the method to the madness. That's how we report items, accounts, right? That's how we report the accounts on our financial statements as it relates to the balance sheet. So this is introduced in the chapter in the book, and I just wanted to introduce you guys to this mnemonic. CMRIP, IPO, current assets, long term, IPO, current, CMRIP, long term, IPO. See you in the next video.